But in the beginning stages, it's going to be nowhere near to that. In fact, it's going to be a lot more and a lot, quote unquote, worse than working at a job, because you're not just working 40 hours a week. You're working 24/7.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Driven. In today's episode, we're going to be discussing if it's still worth it being an entrepreneur in 2025.
Yeah. And for those that don't know us, my name is Juan. This is my brother Alexis. And in 2019, we started a business that currently does over $3 million a year in annual revenue. So at least up to that point, I feel like we have an idea as to what we're talking about.
Yeah. Now, going back to the topic, a lot of people, you see nowadays, a lot of gurus, especially on social media, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. There's a lot of gurus out there. They're in their yachts, they're in their sports cars, their Lamborghinis, their Porsches, private jets, so on and so forth. And a lot of people also want to become entrepreneurs because they want that lifestyle. But just based on your opinion, why do you think being an entrepreneur is very... people want to become entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I think because people don't have a full understanding of what it is to be an entrepreneur. Because when you think of an entrepreneur and some of the things that you hear, you set your own hours, you work the amount of hours that you want to, you could work from anywhere. So all these things that sound extremely good, to be an entrepreneur. And I feel like once you get to a point, it depends, but you have that ability. But in the beginning stages, it's going to be nowhere near to that. In fact, it's going to be a lot more and a lot, quote unquote, worse than working at a job, because you're not just working 40 hours a week. You're working 24/7. 24/7. Even if you're not physically working, but you're thinking about it. It's just going to happen. You're going to be thinking about it. And so that's at least was our reality back then when we started business, to do business. But I feel the fact that they see all these, like how you mentioned, people with yachts, people with women, people with buying houses, buying cars, buying all these things. Trips. It's very extremely attractive. Extremely. In fact, I think everyone is attracted to that. And so, wanting to go be there or do that, it attracts a lot of people to become entrepreneurs and not maybe pursue, other endeavors, whether it be school, career, whatever it may be.
Yeah, 100%. And before we get into the reality of being an entrepreneur, let's just backtrack as to why people they're attracted to being an entrepreneur. Because for us, we were talking about it, but what attracted us to being entrepreneurs wasn't the lifestyle that people were portraying. I know back in the day, there was the Tai Lopez. Here in my garage with the Lamborghini, we saw them, but it's like, all right, cool. I mean, it'll be nice, but it wasn't like, oh yeah, we got to become entrepreneurs to have the Lamborghini, have the lifestyle. It was more of just, it was a mission of why we wanted to become entrepreneurs. Yeah. But are you able to recall, at least on your end, why for you wanted to become an entrepreneur, or how it came about?
But I know at the very, very, very beginning, like when we were still in school, we talked about certain things. In high school. Yeah, we talked about it. I know that at some point we were talking about opening up a chain of gyms, opening up a gym. I don't know. I honestly don't know why. I know one thing for sure that we did know is that we wanted to retire my parents. That's the one thing we knew for 100% certain. We wanted to retire my parents. I believe that we just didn't know how to achieve that. And then so maybe it was some of the videos that we did see, some of the rich people like Bezos or whoever was rich back at Carlos Slim, the Mexican. Like at that point, he was, I think, the richest one. And so seeing all that, entrepreneur, and pretty much all of them were entrepreneurs. Yeah. And so seeing that maybe made us think, or at least made me think, maybe entrepreneurship is the way to go. But honestly, I can't recall. Maybe it's just in nature. Maybe not wanting to listen to authority per se. Maybe a combination of those things. But I honestly don't know why. But one thing we did know is that we needed to make money to retire my parents. And that was pretty much all that I know.
Yeah, because I remember back then in high school, we used to watch a lot of fitness people. We used to watch Christian Guzman, Beast Mode Jones, Chris Jones, Matt Ogus. So we used to watch a lot of people, and I know back in the day they were also following the entrepreneur journey. Yeah. So maybe that could have also played a role in it, because how you mentioned we wanted to open up our own gym. They opened up their own gym. So I think it was a portion of that. And I think at least for me, it was more of the authority. Mm-hmm. I don't want to take orders from anyone, because I told you, no, I hate the word boss just in general, back and forth, whether someone says, oh yeah, he's my boss, or me, those words coming out of my mouth like, oh yeah, that's my boss. I work for him. At that time, it was more of that, at least for me, the authority.
You think so? Because that's one of the things that we discussed, like in the now, for sure, 100% certain.
Yeah.
but I know back then, and that's one, like, we should have put this in, like, we should have talked about this. But I think the mindset was very different, and I think it's hard to go back and actually think how we thought back then.
100%. But then also just taking orders from managers, because they were very just direct, do this. They're,
no one likes that. Yeah.
Well, I guess, yeah, if you want to put it that way, no one likes that.
No one likes that. And at that point we were already in entrepreneurship. Like when we first had our first jobs, per se, we were already in the entrepreneurship journey. So I think we were always, wanting to do what it is that we felt was right, as opposed to being told.
Yeah, because it's been over 10 years? It's been over 10 years since we started that. Yeah. Since we were in high school, I graduated in 2014. You graduated in 2012. So a good 12, 13 years. So yeah, it is a little bit hard to recall, but you would say that in general, at least right now, why being an entrepreneur is very, it's a trend, or people want to become entrepreneurs. To sum it all up, it's because maybe they want the lifestyle, the freedom. They don't want to take orders from authorities. They want to be their own boss. They want to set their own hours, right?
Yeah. So, I would definitely think that that's the main reason.
Okay, awesome. So now, one thing is wanting to become an entrepreneur, but once we start, example for us, once we started, let's backtrack a little bit. I know when we went into our first, it wasn't a business. It was more of us being independent contractors. They fed us a dream, or they sold us a dream that, okay, if you come work here, you're going to work whenever you want. You're going to be your own boss. You're going to set your own hours. So you can work a little bit. You can make a lot of money by just working a little bit. But do you think that's the reality of being an entrepreneur, being an independent contractor, or working for yourself?
I definitely don't think that's...
was that our reality?
That was not the reality, for sure. And I think in general that isn't the reality, because from our experience, in order to get something good, or something that you want, something that is desired, you need a lot of work in whatever it is. That it doesn't just have to be business, finance, whether it be like want to get into Harvard, want to get into Yale. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of dedication. It's a lot of time put. Quote unquote, you want to get that girl that's like the top, probably is a lot of work. Probably, I don't know. I'm not an expert, but a lot of the things that are desirable and that are up there, it takes a lot of work, and I think that's something that doesn't change across anything.
It's across the board, because if you want to become a professional soccer player, a lot of people in Los Angeles want to become pros. A lot of people, but what does it take to be a pro? You got to train every day.
You got to be like Ronaldo.
Exactly.
You got to be like Ronaldo.
Disciplined, following your diet, your trainings every single day, whether it's raining or whether it's really hot, you still have to train.
Yeah, and so definitely from our experience, nothing comes easy. Nothing comes easy.
Relationships, starting a family.
Yeah, nothing good comes easy.
Nothing.
Because a lot of bad things could come. Yeah. But a lot of good, from our experience, nothing good has ever come easy.
Even if you want to start a nonprofit, you want to start an organization, a shelter to help animals, to help children, to help homeless, whatever it is, a nonprofit, you want to clean up the ocean or whatever it is, maybe you have good intentions. It's a lot of work, a lot.
Yep, no, definitely. So that was definitely not our reality, and I would be extremely surprised if it is easy for some people. In fact, I would want to learn from them, because how did they do it to where it was really easy for them? Yeah. But that's definitely wasn't our reality, and I think that's not the reality for a lot of people.
Yeah, which I mean, it could happen for the rare few where maybe they saw some Bitcoin early on. They just put in.
But at that point, that's not a business, right?
No, it isn't, and that's what I'm saying. That sometimes it's just luck. Sometimes all it is luck. You're just lucky. You're at the right place at the right time. But that's not going to be the case for the 99.999% of people. For the 99.99% of people, it's hard work.
I would even go so far as to say it's 100%. I don't even think there's exceptions, because I think everyone has to work hard at entrepreneurship to make it successful.
Yeah, if you're starting from like zero, yeah.
Yeah, even if, like, for example, you were handed a business, it's still a lot of work dealing with people, managing people, dealing with problems, issues. It's a lot of
assuming
work.
You're involved.
Assuming you're involved. But at that point, if you're not involved, you just own it, then, I mean, maybe that's a definition that we could define. Is that entrepreneurship? Because you just own stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now, we were talking about generalities.
Yeah, but
going back to entrepreneur, it's a whole different thing.
Yep, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's just dive back into some of the struggles that we are going to face, or if you do want to become an entrepreneur in 2025, what are some of the struggles you're going to face? I know we mentioned hard work.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing is, to an extent, it's a little lonely.
Mm-hmm.
Because for us, I mean, thankfully we had each other to just support each other. But a lot of the times, if you're starting a business for yourself, or you're starting, you want to become an entrepreneur, a lot of the times it's lonely. No one's going to understand you. If you have family, you tell them your goals. They're going to tell you you're working too hard. You're stressing out. You should take a vacation, because they want to help you. Or maybe you should go back to college. So a lot of the times it is going to be lonely. And do you think that's the case nowadays still?
I feel like maybe it has evolved in a certain way, because I think the work and all of that, you still have to do it, and more likely than not you'll do it on your own. But I know nowadays there's a lot of communities, like school communities, there's a lot of entrepreneurship communities, there's a lot of that where you network and bounce off ideas, but the actual work, you are going to have to do it. And at the beginning, more likely than not, it is going to be by yourself. So I feel like it can be lonely, but a little bit less per se, because now everyone is so interconnected and everyone can network with each other. It might be a little bit less, but the work itself, you are going to be lonely.
Yeah, it's going to be lonely. I know back then, when we started our first business, the clothing business, there was big players in the game, but we were still able to make money. Nowadays, I know a lot of people, like, I think Gary Vee popularized it, where you're doing retail arbitrage. So do you think now, being an entrepreneur in 2025, because when we started, it was 10 years ago. Now, do you think people can jump into a market and make money or make something out of themselves, especially when there's so much competition and everyone wants to be an entrepreneur?
That's a great question. I haven't really thought about that, but I think it could go both ways, because now there's a lot more resources, a lot more guidance, a lot more YouTube videos, which essentially we grew the business through YouTube videos and books.
Just crazy.
But yeah. And so there's a lot more resources to where if you find something and you get guidance, you listen to the books, the sources, the different things, I feel like it is easier than back then. At the same time, I know now there is a lot of competition. I know now there is a lot of people. AI. People are just asking AI, do this for me. Start this business, whatever it may be. So in that sense, back then a lot of now a lot of businesses, they close in the sense of the opportunity is maybe not as lucrative as it was before, but then a lot of new ones.
Yeah, so it's always just a cycle.
Yeah.
So the old businesses tend to die down, especially because people retire. Maybe they don't want the business anymore. Maybe they want to go back to a job, something more quote unquote stable. But new people are always going to come up. You have people that are driven, the young people, the 18-year-olds who want something for themselves, who are always going to start businesses.
Yeah. So. In addition, the type of businesses too.
That's true.
Back then, it might have been easier to start a certain business, but now there's so much competition. There's so much, it's so saturated. Whatever the case may be, right? Maybe that type of business might be a little bit harder to do, but there's a lot more opportunities that opened up now. There's a lot more things now, especially with the use of AI online. There's a lot of new opportunities that did open. So while some of them maybe have closed in terms of the opportunity not being as lucrative as before, but there's a lot of new ones that did.
So I guess final thoughts. Do you think being an entrepreneur is still viable in 2025? And if it is, who is it for and who is it not?
Okay. And then I would want your thoughts too. But in 2025, I do believe entrepreneurship is viable. Now, it's viable for the people that are actually willing to sacrifice and put in the hard work and make that entrepreneurship be the main focus of their life. Because it's very hard to become successful when you have a lot of other priorities and focuses. So if you're willing to sacrifice everything else and just put your attention, heart, and money and everything mind to being an entrepreneur in the business, it's definitely viable. But if you're the type of person that just wants to pursue it because of like that dream, But isn't willing to put in the work? I don't think so. I do not think so. But I don't know on your end.
On my end, well, one of the things I will say, which is a little contradictory, but I don't think entrepreneurship is there for everyone. The reason why is because, one, you need hard work. Granted, I know you could argue that you're going to need hard work for anything, even if you want to grow or scale up the corporate ladder. It's a lot of hard work. Second one is your risk tolerance. How likely are you able to risk 5-10 years, our story, 5 to 10 years without making much money? For people in our grade, going to college, graduating, getting good degrees, good jobs. And then us, we're just still trying to start that, quote unquote, that little business.
Yeah, having to go back to jobs making, what, 13, 14, 15 bucks an hour?
Yeah.
While others were getting these degree jobs.
Us being looked upon, like, oh, you have your little warehouse, your little business. And I'm not saying, anything about that, but risk tolerance, people doubting you. These guys already started, 3-4 businesses. It hasn't worked for them. I mean, they're always going to have that same, just go to school or whatever, that risk tolerance, having thick skin, the work ethic. So if you're able to have all that and just be consistent and just play the long game, because for us, it took a while. I'm not going to say we're the smartest or we're the, not the smartest, but it took us a while. And I think for a lot of people, just to have some success being an entrepreneur, it is going to take a while. It may not happen in the first or second year because you had to learn a lot of the nuances, the basic skills that you need to become an entrepreneur. What are you going to offer? How are you going to offer? How are you going to price your product or your service? And then where am I going to offer it? So there's a lot of things that you need to learn first. Once you learn those things, then you're going to start making money, because that happened for us. We had to learn a bunch of basic skills. Yep. And then once we had that base of basic skills, once we started this business, it took off. 2019, 100,000. 2020, 700,000. 2021, 1.8 thousand. 1.8 million. My bad. 1.8 million. 2022, it went down to 1.6. 2023 to 2.2. 2024 to 3 million. And then this year, we're pushing for 5 million. Yep. 100%. So if you want to call it, for the people that is our network, we're kind of like overnight success. Like all these fuckers, like they get to enjoy their house, they get to enjoy the cars, they get to enjoy, if they want to take days off, they can. I'm not saying we will, but from the outside perspective, that's how it looks like. But no one's gonna see the first 5-10 years that.
Like I know you gave the years that we started, like a at least revenue, right?
Revenue.
But if you look from 2012 to 2018. If you just combine the total revenue, income, all that combined together, it was I think it was never past like 50,000-60,000. So it was just that, and then so for 8 years, and then all of a sudden, so it's like this, but then it just starts going like that, and then it just goes like that. Yep. So
yeah. So yeah. The reason why I'm bringing it up is because you need to have patience. If you're not patient, if you want something immediately, the first year, second year, third year, entrepreneurship might not be for you. Like I mentioned, maybe you have a high IQ, you're very smart, you know exactly what to do, where you grasp certain things super quick, that you're able to do it in the first year, 2 years. Then that's a little bit different, but that's not the case for a lot of people. That wasn't the case for us.
Yeah, and that's one of the things when you said that just came to my mind, that it is also not that good if you're too smart for entrepreneurship. And that kind of sounds contradictory and ironic. I don't know if ironic is the right word. But the fact that a lot of people do tend to overthink. A lot of people tend to analyze. Sometimes you have to be a little bit dumb and then just go for it. Kind of how we were. Yep. We didn't know exactly what we were doing. We're not dumb, but we weren't too smart. So we just did a lot of stuff. Yep. And it just hit. But I know someone who analyzes, these are all the reasons why it may or may not work. And so that kind of halts, it slows down or completely stops your growth. Your growth of the business, your growth of what it is that you're doing. So sometimes you just have to and it's contradictory, and if you are smart, not to overanalyze.
Yeah,
just be dumb.
It was like that one phrase that we were in sales, you got to stay confused and stumble forward.
Yep.
It's just push forward. You are going to stumble quite a bit, but then you're going to figure it out. Yep. But you already made some progress. Yep. Instead of just analyzing, waiting for the perfect time, for the perfect market, for the perfect business, and you haven't done anything yet. While the other person, for us, we did shit that made us lose a lot of money, But then at the end of the day, we still gain a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge, and that's what catapulted us to just making, or at least having a business that made millions of dollars in revenue in the span of a year, 2 years, 3 years.
No, definitely.
Yeah. The last thing I will say, I had my point. Entrepreneur also for us, it's never ending. It's always 24/7. I know that, for example, I tell you this because there's this influencer who created this sour company. He recently sold it. And one of the reasons why is because he mentioned that he was always thinking about business 24/7 when he was with his wife, his fiance, his girlfriend at the time. He would always think about business, and then when he was out with friends, he would think about business. So that's a thing that till this day, me and you are always thinking about that when we're at home, when we're out, before we go to sleep, when we wake up. It's business 24/7. And that's why I say that business or being an entrepreneur isn't for everyone. I'm not saying that that's wrong or right. It's just something that people prefer. People prefer being in the moment with their family, whatever. It's 100% fine. 100% fine. I'm not bashing on anyone or anything. But for us, it's always a constant thing. You look at us and you could say that we made it. But if we just take the pedal off the gas or gas off the pedal, I don't know the saying. If we do that, we know that the business is going to fail. We're going to have people, other competitors that are going to come up and they're going to try to take our place. So it's going to be a constant thing 24/7, I think, until we die. That's always going to be the case. And if that's something you're not good with, if you want to just work from Monday to Friday and then Saturday and Sunday party, enjoy your life, then entrepreneurship isn't for you.
100%. I agree with that.
But that was my final thing.
No, 100%. Yeah, I mean, so 2025, I think it is definitely viable.
It's doable.
It's doable. 100%. I think you just need to put in the work, dedication, and honestly, that's pretty much it. Just like how you said, the phrase or the saying, just take a few, stumble forward, and just do it. I know there's a lot more nuances and a lot more things to that, but just it's very viable. 2025. You just have to put in the work.
Yeah. So to summarize it in points, I would say, and you could chime in or you could just correct me if I'm wrong, but there's going to be a lot of hard work. You need to have risk tolerance.
Yep.
For us, we lost a shit ton of money. You need to have the patience that maybe it's not going to work the first year. Maybe it might not work the first 5 years. For us, it didn't work out the first 8 years.
Yeah. 2012 to 2020.
Yeah, but have that patience, have that faith, have that confidence that it's going to work out, and then be willing to just that be your life. That is going to be your life. You're going to be thinking about it 24/7, and is that something you really can't see yourself doing, then maybe entrepreneurship isn't for you.
Yeah.
But that it's still doable. There's always going to be new businesses coming out. There's going to be new industry. There's going to be new markets. So if you want it, then it's out there for you to take it, because really it's you just putting your pants on and going full force and taking it.
Yeah, definitely. And then just a point that you said about that you'll be thinking about it. It's not like because you want to. It's just going to be a byproduct of you working on the business, that there's a lot of problems. There's a lot of issues. There's a lot of stuff with the business that you're just going to think about it. It's just going to happen. It's inevitable. So whether you want to or not, you're just going to think about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, so 2025, very viable.
Very doable. Being an entrepreneur.
Awesome. Yeah, so with that being said, this has been another episode of Driven. My name is Juan.
My name is Alexis.
And we'll see you on the next one.